Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Hi, I am Raymond Camden, a developer evangelist on the document services team at Adobe, and I would love to welcome you to our latest Paperclips stream. Also, I will note that this is the first one where I'm doing everything myself, which means one of two things will probably happen. What I hope is that you will learn some neat stuff and get excited to try what I'm showing today. Or conversely, I will bomb and screw everything up. And I figure, either way, you're going to have a good time. To make things even more fun, I live in the South and we have a huge storm that's coming in and it's going to hit like about halfway through. So that will just add a little bit more randomness and fun to it. But with that in mind, let's get into a couple of news items. And then after that, we'll get into the meat of today's session. So the first thing that I want to share with you is a cool news item written by my coworker, Ben, talking about how to do some PDF services operations on Microsoft Power Automate. I have been using Power Automate a bit lately over the last couple of months. And I am just blown away by kind of how powerful it is in terms of a low code / no code type solution. I wish I had read this article previously because I learned a couple of things in it that would have saved me some time. So, definitely check it out. See how easy it is to work with the PDF services under Microsoft Power Automate. And talking about automation, Ben also has another really good article on our developer blog about working with Adobe Workfront. This is something that I have not looked at yet, so this article is definitely recommended if, like me, you need an introduction to it, and also talks about using our PDF services. One of the nice things I like about our services is that they can be plugged into multiple different automation frameworks, or it's something that you can use with 100% code written on your own server as well. It's very flexible in that way, and I love to see our APIs being used in multiple environments. The last thing I will share is an article that I wrote talking about Adobe Commerce and our PDF services, specifically document generation. Adobe Commerce is an e-commerce solution built on top of the open source Magento framework. It's really flexible and really powerful. And one of the things that we are adding to that product is the ability to use document generation and Adobe Acrobat Sign together. So what's cool is that you can imagine, you sell a couple things. There's some things that you sell that for whatever reason, you need the person to sign a document before they can purchase it. Well, in that article, I explain how we have it integrated now where you can automatically pick up on the fact that, yes, this product needs to be signed and it needs to use this particular form. And all of it is just kind of seamlessly put into the checkout process. It's something that you definitely should check out and just kind of see how that works. All right, so with that out of the way, let me kind of talk to you today about what we're learning about. I am going to give you a developer's introduction to Adobe Acrobat Sign. I am absolutely new to it, and so I will point that out to say that I'm definitely not going to show you everything. It's the more I learn about it, the more powerful and flexible it is. So, and I realize half an hour or so would definitely not be enough time. So I definitely won't be showing you everything. And there may be things I show you today that could potentially be done a bit better or a bit differently. When I learn things, I tend to go very, very slow. And I may do something and realize, I bet there's a fancier way of doing that. I keep it simple. So my kind of goal here is to gently bring you into the Adobe Acrobat Sign world. So you can see a couple of examples. And you can kind of learn what I have learned so far. And hopefully in the future, I'll be able to share some more things about this to give you more ideas and get you excited about playing with it. So with that, let me begin by kind of giving you my kind of elevator pitch about what is supported with Adobe Acrobat Sign. And again, I'm giving high-level items. There's really, to me, as a person who's using this feature, there's kind of three main roles. There is a kind of a simpler non-dev type role where I can use the dashboard to create a document to be signed. I can manually send it out. I can track to see, what agreements are out there. And this is absolutely a no-code type situation where I don't need to know anything at all about writing code in order to use it to be successful in getting my agreement signed. There's a definitely more advanced type version of this where you can use REST-based APIs to add all kinds of levels of automation to your signing processes as well. And finally, there's like a third level that I won't be talking about, where as an integrator, you may need to allow someone else to send documents out for signing. We're definitely going to stick to the more simpler use of this. And one thing I want to point out, in my examples, I'm keeping it simple. I need you to sign this document. Adobe Acrobat Sign supports much more complex signing processes. So Raymond has to sign first, and then either of Raymond's bosses have to sign. And then after that, the VP has to sign. So if you need a kind of complex process where it has to go through multiple people and multiple people have to sign off, you can absolutely do that. My goal here today is to kind of keep it as simple as possible. And with that, I'm going to talk about the scenario that I'm using that I want Adobe Acrobat Sign to help me out with. And we're going to start with this idea of I run a business, and in this business, before you participate in it, you have to sign a waiver form. I've had a bunch of birthdays for my kids recently that all kind of piled up at once, and they all wanted to go to these places where they could jump around and bounce around with trampolines and stuff. Fun for them, complete stress for the parent the entire time. But before the kids are allowed to run and jump and all that, they have to sign a waiver form, and typically the parent signs it out for them. So that is the hypothetical situation that I would like Adobe Acrobat Sign to help me with. I have this business. It won't be a jumping place. It'll be something much safer, like I have a swimming with sharks experience. That sounds safe, right? And as you walk into my store, and I greet you, I'm going to get your name and your email, and I'm going to ask you to sign a waiver before you participate in that activity. Now, that's going to be a very manual process, and we're going to make that better as we go on. Now, one thing I want to point out, everything I am showing today is available on the free developer trial of Adobe Acrobat Sign. You will see some watermarks and like the emails and the documents and stuff. Obviously, those watermarks go away if you're not on a trial. As a developer, I honestly thought the watermarks were just fine. They didn't get in the way or stop me from learning and kicking the tires, so to speak. So I think that's totally fine. But just going to keep that in mind, that any watermarks you see would not be there when you leave the trial. All right, so we've talked about our hypothetical situation. You know that I have a developer trial. So let's actually start working on this. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen here. All right, so I am already signed into the Adobe Acrobat Sign dashboard, and I can begin working here, but I actually want to create the document that I needed to sign first. So I am going to use Microsoft Word. I could use PDF or other formats as well. But I went into Microsoft Word and I typed some text that seems okay to me. And then at the bottom, I have a place for two fields. And in my mind, what I'm thinking is that, I want you to put the date there, and I want you to sign your name here. By the way, I could do a bit more to this document to make it work better with Adobe Acrobat Sign, and you'll see that in the second part of today's session. But again, I start simple. I do one thing at a time, and I keep it easy. So I have this Word document, and again, you just kind of came into my shop and I need you to sign. So let's look at what that process is like. So I begin by hitting send. And what I want to do is I'm going to use this form so that I can have you, the person who just walked in, have you sign and agree to it. So I've asked your email address, and I'm going to type in raymond@adobe.com. And I could do a couple of additional things, like, for example, set a reminder automatically or pass protect. I could also do a quick little message here. Please sign this. I am live streaming now. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and add the Word document that I just worked on. And let me find out exactly where I put it. And I know I'll be there 2 seconds, I promise. Waiver. All right. So let me just close it and then open it. All right. So it is there. And what I want to do is click preview and add signature fields. Now I'm doing this because I don't actually have a place to sign on that Word document yet, but watch what the dashboard is going to do for me. It's going to take in that Word document and it's going to render it as PDF and then give me a bunch of tools for me to add fields. So we will do this. It's processing. By the way, once I do this, I have a signed document that is good to go. And I wouldn't have to go here and edit it again and again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a simple text input, put it right by the date. And I'm going to add a signature field right by the sign your name. And by the way, I could definitely lay this out a bit nicer. I could, make it look a bit nice. But for right now, I'm just going to keep it as is. I can go in here and double click to edit, and I could do things like rename the fields, make it required. I will go ahead and do that. And I do want a validation on this, and I want it to be a date. I will hit OK. My signature is already automatically required. So in theory, all I got to do now is hit send, and this will begin the process. So you can see I get a little preview here, and there is the watermark. What's nice is that I can go into manage, and I could see that I have a couple of things out for signature. I've been testing this for a little while, but here's the one that I just sent. And by the way, I could also send a reminder from here. This is pretty easy to use. But what I'm going to do is in another window, I'm going to open my email and open this in a new window so you can see. Give me 1 second. View in new window. There we go. All right. Let me bring this over here. There you go. So this is the email I got. And again, it is watermark demo use only. But I see that I've been asked to sign something. That's the comment that I wrote when I was sending it out. I can go ahead and click review and sign. And I will bring this window over as well. And you can see what that experience is like. And that's a little bit off screen here. Give me 1 second. There we go. All right. So, and again, if you have used Adobe Acrobat Sign before, you are used to this. I'm going to enter today's date, 3/30/2022. And yes, I did have to look up that because life is hard. I'm going to click here to sign. And there we go. And I am done. And what's nice is that back in my particular email, I got I was notified that it was done. If I reload this, I should see that it's no longer in progress. It is completed. And that is basically it. Like I was able to upload a Word document, do some design elements to it. And again, that is a one-time thing, and then send it out to the person to be signed. And this is all something that a non-technical person could do. If for some reason they had trouble with Microsoft Word, that's something that I could help them out with. You can imagine the cashier working at this business needing to do this. All they have to do is click a couple of times, and then it is good to go. And I will show you the signature. And let's see, I'm gonna get this on screen for you right here. This is back in my personal email address where I signed up, and I could see that it has been signed and filled. So not only did the person I sent it to got a notification, so did I. It's doing a really great job of letting me know what's going on in this process and that it is complete. All right, so far, so good. So as you could probably imagine, if I had a couple of people walking into my store to do this wonderful swimming with sharks experience, then this would be totally fine. I could say, oh, hey, welcome. What's your email address? Thank you. I'll do it. And we sit there and we let them sign up. Now, you could probably imagine that if I had 30, 40 people coming in at one time, it would not scale terribly well. And it would be a little bit inefficient then to get them, everybody who's just walked in signing. It'd be really nice. And a lot of places like, trampoline parks, etc. It'd be nice if I could actually put the waiver form online such that you could have it signed before you even show up. So to illustrate that, we're going to use another feature of Adobe Acrobat Sign called Web Forms. Now, as a web developer, that name kind of threw me at first. We're not talking about, HTML form tags and stuff like that. But instead, this will be a signing experience that will be available on the web. In one of two ways. So either be just a URL that you can link people to, but even better, there will be a way to iframe this document. So you can imagine that you have your existing site, and on there you can have all of your layout, and in the middle there, you can have the web form to sign. Again, this can be done by the person coming. You don't have to manually do it. All right, so let's actually walk through that process of doing that. Now, to do that, I am going to use a new Word document. And let me show you. I just modified it a little bit. It's mostly the same text. But notice, sorry, let me switch to showing my screen. Yep, sorry about that. New Word document, pretty much the same. I did make one small change to this where I used a trick to make like a place where you would sign. And basically that's just a bunch of underscores there. And I did that on purpose because we're going to kind of trigger something kind of cool in Adobe Acrobat Sign's dashboard when editing the form. I could have reused what I just made, but I want to show you something pretty neat here. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard. I'm going to click Publish a Web Form. And I'm going to call this Waiver Form PC for a paperclip. So I know that I'm kind of doing this live. And we're going to add a file. And I'm going to upload that Word document that I just made. Choose files from my computer. Waiver 2, open. And I'm going to make sure that preview and add signature fields is selected. All right, let's click next. So it's going to process it again. And remember, I don't have to use Microsoft Word. I could use PDF and other Office formats. But check this out. So what's cool is that the dashboard here, it recognized, hey, you know what? I think you have some form fields here. Would you like me to place them? Heck yeah, when you do that, that's less work for me. So it has done it, and it's asking me to please review and edit. And if I scroll down, I could see that it's already done the work for me. Now, I want to double check this a little bit. So I'm going to double click on there, and I can see it's text input. It doesn't have the validation automatically, but I can do that myself. And I'm going to make it required. And I'm going to point out something else here as well. Default value may come from URL. So one of the cool things about using web forms is that you have a bit of interactivity in it where you can actually assign some values by basically manipulating the URL to make it so that there's less the user has to type. Now, you can't do that with the signature, that has to actually be signed. But if your form had a bunch of stuff, and if it was, like the last page in a multi-step form, you could potentially preset a lot of that data for them to make life easier. So I'm going to go ahead and check that. And I'm going to just rename this to date to give it a nicer field name. And I'll explain why that makes sense in a little bit. So we'll go here and we'll double click this, and it is a signature. I want to make sure it is right there. I will set this to signature. And I believe that's all I have to do. It is already required. And again, this is going to be a one-time process where I am designing this web form. Once I've done this and published it, it's good to go, and we don't have to mug with it again. So I think I am happy. I will click Save. And we have a web form. So notice it's done two things here, three things actually. It's given me a URL that I can link to. It's given me web form embed code, and it's going to be an iframe. And it also gives me a nice preview. So if I actually take this URL, I'm going to copy and paste it. I'm going to go into a tab here and show you, and it should be the exact same form. And we could see it's asking for a date and it's asking for name. So I didn't have to manually sign this, set this out. It's available via a URL. But instead, what I want to do is I want to take this iframe code and embed it in my site's HTML. Now, I have already done that. Open this up, and you can see here. And just to be, honest, this is an earlier web form I uploaded with the same source document. But this is an iframe code. I have embedded it in my site so you could see other HTML in there. You are, of course, allowed to modify the layout of the iframe and change the size. I actually tweaked the size a bit more, just a bit to make it a little bit larger for me. But now this iframe is visible on my site. So if we go to that HTML, we could see, yeah, there it is, sign the waiver form. And then I have my kind of text on top. And then here I have the process. So I can go in here, and it is 3:30. Yes, I am looking up the date again. And I'm going to sign it as Raymond Camden, apply, and then click to sign. Now, in order for this to be complete, it does have to have verification. So it's going to send an email to me so I could say that, yes, I actually signed that. I will let that go. And it's even reminding me here that I've done so. And if I were to go back into the dashboard and go into manage, I should see that there's one out. Maybe not. I may be doing that wrong. But if I go to my email, I have, and again, I will pop this out so you can see the fact. Let me scroll that up a little bit more. You can see that I am being asked to confirm my signature, and I can click and sign that, and then the process will be done. But what I want to show you is a slightly more advanced version of this. So, I mentioned the fact that with a web form, you have the ability via URL parameters to kind of preset some of that data. You're going to have to write a little bit of code for this, but let me kind of show you how this works. So I have a second version called Test 2. Now, the way that this particular feature works is that it takes the URL and then it adds, and I'll just type here an HTML comment. So given a very long URL, if you do f equals f, field name equals value, I'll make it f equals v, it's going to preset that value to the thing that you said. And you could repeat this for multiple fields. So field 2 equals value 2. You can do it for as many fields as you want, except for the signature field. Now, in order for that to work, I need my iframe to be set to a URL that is dynamic. So what I did in this case is I used a little bit of JavaScript. I grabbed the current month, date, and year, and I took that and I basically added it to the end of the URL. And again, I got that URL from the Adobe Acrobat Sign dashboard where it shared it with me. And I update it to include that dynamic value. And again, I could have multiple fields. I could have more complex logic. I think a great use of this would be in a multi-step form where if you have already asked somebody their name or the date of some sort, then you don't need to ask them a second time on the form. You could pre-fill that for them. So let's actually see this in action. Go back and go to test2.html. And again, that JavaScript ran automatically. I didn't have to do anything. And we could see it set it to the current date. And I literally just saved the user some time, which is a great thing. So that was, let me switch back to my lovely face. That was probably 1/100th of what you could do with Adobe Acrobat Sign. But as someone who is new to this and learning, I'm already really, really excited just about how darn easy this is. That online editing performance experience, whatever, was just really excellently done. And I really appreciate that I've been able to try so much on the trial. And it gives me a chance to experience it and see if it makes sense for me. And again, as a developer, I really appreciate that. So let me share with you a quick resource. That is not it. Hold on. We're getting there. Again, this is my first time doing it. If I'm only going to screw up the outro, then that's fine. And in fact, what I may do is just go back to my desktop and share the link I wanted to share. So give me 1 second here. Desktop path. All right. So let me share with you real quick our developers blog. So a couple things here. First off, you definitely want to use the developer blog to learn just about what we're talking about, and not just our particular team, but other teams as well. One thing I want to share with you is that what I talked about today is all on our blog in a much longer, drawn-out, text-based format. And this particular blog post covers the first half of what I presented on today. The second half, where I work on the web form, will be published on this blog in 2 days on April 1st, which is a great day to publish content because nothing else is going on that time. That's totally crazy. But keep that in mind. All right. So with that, I want to thank you for showing up. I don't think I screwed up too bad, except for getting my last link set up correctly. But I really hope that you have learned something. On screen, you see my Twitter handle. My DMs are open. So if you have any questions about what I am showing today, please reach out. I love to answer questions. That just makes me really, really happy when I could solve people's problems. So definitely reach out and continue to watch this live stream. And thank you very much. And I think I actually beat the storm coming out, which is a good thing. But anyway, have a great rest of your week, and I will see you all later.